And hi and welcome on the Baylor Coaches Show tonight from Rudy's on the Circle in Waco. Thanks to our host here at Rudy's. We appreciate you being with us. Thank you, Bob. Coach Jay Goebel is with us today at Baylor.
Thank you.
Thanks for weather right now, isn't it?
It is, absolutely.
Bet that's right. No, it's not the 100 degrees which you
Absolutely
see over
perfect.
the course of your season.
Everything from South Carolina to Hawaii to all of it. So this is perfect golf weather.
What's the worst weather?
Ames, Iowa, a few years ago. About 34 degrees.
Oh.
They had to park tractors behind the green.
Literal tractors, right? Wild.
Yeah.
But then you get go to California, depending on the time of year.
Absolutely. We try to follow good. That's the plan.
Phoenix here recently. How was the
nice? Yeah. Low wind.
All right. Give us far how the team is doing individually. Who's with the Big 12s coming up next week?
We're currently ranked 10th. We've had some really stellar who came from Norway. Has worked her way up the world. We have Sarah Hasegawa State, who has been she won at Arizona State a couple days ago at the Big 12 match in her matches.
Wow, yeah.
So she Rosie Belsham in her third year, I believe 13th in the Arnold Palmer Cup, on track to be an All-American. It's been fun. Wins. We've had one team win. They've finished inside the top 5 every.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but Rosie's kind of your vet.
Yeah. In the lineup, sophomores, 2 juniors.
Oh wow. Big 12 match play last week.
Yeah.
You said you won there, but you didn't win.
It's a little confusing in this match play, so we were working out the manual. But at the end, what went wrong is that off for spots. If there was a tie, lost in a scorecard playoff to get in match play. So we didn't go play it off. Yeah. And they had more wins than us. So
how was that? I mean, how was that?
It was, we had a committee put a tournament manual together and played it.
Okay.
It's a little bit awkward to play games. That's kind of weird.
Okay.
So to try to mitigate the and man, it just because we were playing and I feel like we would have gave a good run for their money that final day to do that, but I think match championship will be there at the end of May.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So do you think you'll do the Big 12 match play next year?
Doing it again, I'm not sure it's going to. We've actually went ahead and decided to hold Texas, Oklahoma, and the 13 actually makes it even worse. Yeah.
What's the best number for match
8.
play?
And
gotcha.
Small. Yeah.
And then maybe come back to it in a
I
couple
think
of
when we can figure out again where our number teams we have and kind of put
scoring a little bit.
We will definitely moving forward. I'm going to put my
charge there, or is everybody in favor of that?
Of it. It makes total sense.
It does. Yeah. Kansas.
We tied Kansas and we didn't go play
and
it off.
There was no playoff.
They were 7 up. They got to go to the final match.
Oh my! The going out to Phoenix. Your part. You've been out there. Have you been out there 3 times? Three times.
Yeah.
And the Nationals are different courses or the same?
We've played Greyhawk a few times. Again, kind of get used to the golf course. We've been around Greyhawk a bunch of times.
Yeah.
Before they've seen it a couple times this spring. I feel we moving forward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is Greyhawk the women's college golf? I mean,
I think that we've already decided that every 3 years are going to Costa starting next year.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah, men's and women's both.
But both at the same site. Forward.
Yeah. So we've both 3 years, and then they want to in Carlsbad after.
I like that. Do you like that?
No, there's no issues. I think course is in a little different condition than us. They a little higher, so I think it works out where then they can the rough grow a little bit longer, but
really in the women's to the men's.
They Wednesday and they play their practice round.
Gotcha.
2 days later.
Gotcha. Very good. See, we're glad you're here. We got plenty to talk about. Coach tonight on the Baylor Coaches Show. We are live at Rudy's. Rudy's Real Texas. Right back. Stay with us on the Baylor Coaches Show. And back on the Baylor Coaches Show, live from Rudy's on the Circle in Waco. Coach Jay Goebel, Baylor women's golf coach, our first guest this evening. And Jay, let's continue. You mentioned you've won one tournament this year so far this spring, the Collegiate Invitational earlier this semester. That was the one in Mexico. Guadalajara.
Yeah.
How was that? You won it by, what I remember is you won by 10 strokes down there.
We did.
You crushed it that week.
Belsham on our team also won an individual. Cool place. It's actually the golf course. Ochoa, who played on the LPGA Tour. Carlos Ortiz, who now plays on the PGA. It was awesome. Like, they had really behind the event. There were probably 200 on the golf course. Well,
that's fun.
Yeah.
Very good. And you went over Invitational, or usually go there every year. How'd that play out?
Us there, but we still had a. And I think that it's such a year, and it's honestly probably. So if you go there and it's really good. The golf course is very. We did well. I mean, we could have done better.
Thought process as you. Is it locale? Is it in the year like Greyhawk? Is it? How does all that factor in?
I think it all kind of goes. He's seen really good teams on the. Is important. I also of golf courses east and west, and you go to Chapel Hill, any different. So a week before regionals, where we go, North Carolina or Pullman,
right?
So we can go to either coast and comfortable, in my opinion, to know that, hey, we've been to Arizona State. Those courses are going to look like, and go both.
Gotcha.
And I think it's an advantage. Easy to get to both coasts.
Yeah.
Moons ago, it was very hard to go west. That's a real advantage that we have. Both coasts from here.
So one eye on the end of the year and in those locations. Part of it, thought process.
Yeah, a little bit. To go about hopefully.
That'd be great.
So that would be nice to just go. I also feel great about if we go east, going to North Carolina and my assistant coach is in Bloomington. So
yeah.
So the only one that there's one I don't.
Georgia.
I want to go there.
Okay. You didn't say it. All right, very good. Through the 10th, so not that far. The Jacksons who are here, this is our first place foods. That's a darn good pickle. He says, what is your biggest positive?
I think the depth that we have. I mean, I think when you have hopes and you have, like, she comes in and is comfortable, always kind of a question mark. And I think Sarah Hasagawa won a golf tournament, having Celia Oma as a freshman golf tournaments. I think the prize that I've had this year is that we have, I don't know that I've ever had a play as well as the team I have right now at around even par, which is really awesome. 3 that are under.
Well, yeah. Well, for balance or, depth.
Yeah, it's a to know that we have now that have just as much chance, which is really cool.
That's great. Here's another question. Our first place front and center. Roy, are you a golfer? Oh, you live on a golf course. Are you a golfer? Roy's portal affected golf.
It's affected golf programs, and there's is our best player, and she transferred. I believe that situation is that she was under recruited from Japan, or being, we get a lot of players from. Japanese players in women's golf, college golf, probably under recruited, and they have a solid team of the top. She wanted to play somewhere competitive. She pushed her a little harder, and that went to golf tournaments where for professional golf someday. So it's a really easy sell to her. Saw our facilities, knew that our weather, but I think it process is not perfect. So portal hater, as some people are, where it's really benefited correct fit the first time, and coaches. I mean, it's not anybody, and it's not the perfect place for you. And I think it's been a when it comes to that.
Thanks very much for that. What's it like? You've been
12 years.
12 years
here
in Waco. Wow.
Yeah, I've been there a while.
Hey, what's it like, with someone at a different school?
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, the recruiting people, you put a lot of effort into work. It's a hard conversation, but in my experience, I really, they're good. I've really tried to help them go where they're happy and they get a better. I do a lot of international recruiting. Players don't want to come 5,000 miles away. So if I can give them a better compete and play, then I.
Yeah, and I know your heart's in the right place. But what's best for them also.
Absolutely.
Tell us a little bit more about Rosie. What a year she finishes.
Yeah.
She won one event. She's in February.
Mm-hmm.
She's having a great year.
Rosie, I think one of the coolest things, wants to be a professional golfer. She wants to. It's really fun as a. I give everything she can do in her, whether it's asking extra with her short game or meeting up with him in Florida, which she's done. She's leaving no stone unturned. As a coach, that's all you can ask for. That again, she's playing so well this year. Of it, and love having her. She's a little fireball, and she's.
Yeah. She from?
She is from place called Whitley Bay.
Okay.
Way northeast.
Is it really?
Almost similar deal, just playing recruiting over in Europe. She was girls a few years ago. First thing we saw her, she has a golf swing, and again, you know, she's got an intense. And you know, I think Carly and I rein in that intensity and use it for the right. And, you know, it's taken a couple years. If you look at her world amateur golf ranking, 3 years. I mean, she's. Yeah.
I'm always interested with international recruits. Approach them. What's that? Hey, I'm the golf coach at Baylor. Or do they say, yes, I know Baylor?
It's so long now that they've heard of Baylor. There's a connection somehow, whether it's a national coach or somebody that Carly is there's kind of a middle person. Yeah, you know, it's kind of like me when I.
Exactly.
It's like, hey, Baylor, where's that at? Yeah. I think that, you know, we players from all around the world that I think that they know of Baylor, they know of some. It's a little easier than it.
Let's take a break. We're visiting with Coach Jay Goebel. With more in a moment. When we come back, we are glad you're with us. Texas barbecue, and we'll. You're back with us on the Baylor Coaches Show. Thanks for being with us this evening as Coach Jay Goebel leads things off. We appreciate him being here tonight. Hey, it's time now for our Old Trapper feature. Old Trapper, What's Your Beef? We've got some Old Trapper beef jerky here on the stage. Are you a fan of beef jerky?
Love it.
Oh,
Yeah.
good answer.
Every day playing
Thank
golf.
you.
Yeah.
Didn't run that by you ahead of time, so that was a good answer. Take one of those with you when you leave this evening.
Perfect.
Yep. So it's Old Trapper. What's your beef? Relate this to the beef of your schedule. How about the Big 12 championships, Big 12 tournament coming up next week at the Dallas Athletic Club?
Correct. Yeah, just up the road a couple hours. Love DAC. We've played there a couple times for Big 12s and in other tournaments. So excited to get back up there. I think that we actually went up there and practiced yesterday.
Good.
It's got it feels very similar to Ridgewood Country Club, which is, our home course here in Waco, which is unfortunately closed right now. But yeah, it kind of feels home cooking. And the green superintendent up there, Travis Moore, is a good friend of mine, and he was our superintendent here in Waco for 10 years.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
very
so
good.
he was at Ridgewood for 10 years.
Huh, that's great.
Yeah.
What's the rules? You went up there and played a practice round.
There's 2 courses, so we played the other one.
Can't play the one the tournament's on.
Yeah, unfortunately. But it's obviously we warmed up, putted on the putting green. We're going to putt on. It was just to go up there and get comfortable and get.
With Ridgewood closed right now.
I think that it's, but they're also crowded and very similar to what we play on a normal base. This semester to play, added some tournaments to our schedule than we normally do in the spring. That we don't have our home course right now.
On Ridgewood.
The plan is to late October, early November, I believe, of our fall season, which at the bit to get back out there. A few times to look at the golf course. They're going to really benefit our team.
Masters completed last week in Augusta. You and Gurleen Kaur were
Augusta National Women's Am.
There you go. Back to back, and 1 year she said, "Play a pro tour."
She did. And decided to go play in the Chevron in Palm.
Gotcha. Yeah. What a great deal. Playing there for the first time.
It's amazing play. The coach was able to caddy for her and go out there. I was telling you in the break earlier, at the tail end of all the COVID stuff, so very limited tickets to all the I allowed her to take all her. Totally cool with that.
You sat that one out.
I sat that one. But,
right.
I are going to have a good chance to go.
Ooh,
so
that's great. Make that trip next time.
Yeah. No, I'm making.
Me when you were younger.
Yeah, my dad was able to get us 2000. So
wow.
I went 8 years.
Is there? I mean, for a guy who's the professional. Is there any place better?
Nope. Loves golf, and all of us. It becomes a rich. And sit there and eat your. But it doesn't do it justice. Cooler and, I mean, in real life.
Yeah.
And being about, I was 16 with a couple of my friends, and I got down on the ground and started rubbing on the grass because it didn't look real.
Right.
I mean, it looks like a carpet or something like that.
Gosh.
And one of the Augusta National officials basically yelled at me for touching the grass because it was outside where you're supposed to be.
Oh, really?
And but yeah, it doesn't do it justice on television. It's nicer than it looks on TV.
Wow. Great, great experience there. Well, thanks for being with us tonight. Good luck in the Big 12 tournament next week up in Dallas.
Yeah.
That's got to be a plus, not having to travel real far.
It's great. Again, it feels like home cooking for us, and we'd love to have anybody out there that wants to show up and come watch. We have a really great team. We have a strong conference this year with a lot of great teams. I believe it's going to be a great week for us.
Ooh, very cool.
Yep.
Good luck.
Thanks
for being with us. Jay Goebel, Baylor women's golf coach, with us tonight, our leadoff guest on the Baylor Coaches Show. Thanks to Jay. We'll take a break. Be back with more in just a moment, live from Rudy's.
Thank you.
Back with us on the Baylor Coaches Show. Thanks for being with us this evening. Want to give you our Baylor Scott and White Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics health tip for the week. Don't let pain slow you down. We diagnose and treat sports-related injuries and provide orthopedic services for athletes and non-athletes alike. Visit a Baylor Scott and White Sports Medicine and Orthopedic specialist and move like you used to. And as we turn the bottom of the hour, continuing on the Baylor Coaches Show, we welcome in Baylor women's tennis coach Joey Scrivano is with us. Welcome to you.
Thanks a lot, John.
Appreciate you being here.
Yeah,
Thanks
thank
very
you.
much. Very good. Lots to talk about, and thanks for being with us this evening. You are on quite a roll here late in the season. Tell us about that.
Yeah, we've been slowly but surely finding our best tennis, and it's better late than never. So we're really excited about that, and I think that's one of the trademarks of our teams. We play well in late April and in the postseason. So yeah, things are good.
Is it is it intentional? Like you want your team to be better every week? Not that you want to start where you started, but get better every week and be peaking late in the year.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately we would just want to be consistent. So we had a good start to the season. And then there were some ups and downs there in February and March, but ultimately, the ladies turned the corner and they're playing really well right now. And I think ultimately you want to play well in the postseason and in the Big 12 tournament and the NCAA tournament. So we're moving in the right direction. So we're really pleased about that.
Big win over SMU earlier this week. You've won 4 straight, most recently over SMU. That was big, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was a big one. The winner of that match basically was, fighting for a playoff spot.
Wow.
So that was a big match. It was really neat because that's an old Southwest rival.
Right.
There's a lot of history there. So both teams really wanted that, but I was really proud of the way our ladies competed and they just stayed in the moment and did a great job. It was one of our best matches of the season.
That's great. Who played well? Paula clinched it, I know, but who led the way?
Yeah,
Was it her?
well, I think it started in doubles. Paulie and Danny on number one doubles. They just played with great spirit, and that energy was flowing across all the courts. And then, just fittingly, on senior night, Paulie clinched the match and just played, terrific tennis from start to finish. So that was a great win, great team win. You can't do it with one or two players. It takes the entire team to play well, and we did that. So
that's great.
Yeah.
You want to win on senior night, don't you?
Oh, no doubt.
That
makes it a long night when you don't. So, yeah, no, that was really cool, and especially for our seniors. Paulie, like I mentioned, who's a super senior.
Mm-hmm.
She's been with us for 5 years. She's just such a great example of what it means to be a student athlete. She's terrific in the classroom. She's finishing up her master's now. She already has a job lined up. For post graduation, and she's excelling on the court. So in this era of NIL and transfer portal and all that, it's really refreshing to see an athlete like Paulie do so well, and is just a Baylor Bear through and through. So.
Love it. That is great. And you mentioned super senior. Are the rosters starting to, or is your roster starting to settle back down after the COVID years?
Yeah, definitely. We're seeing. It's just we kind of know what to expect now. I think with COVID, there was so many graduate transfers, and so we're in a better place now. But there's always going to be new challenges, like I mentioned, NIL and transfer portal, and those things are definitely throwing curveballs at all of us. Coaches and ADs and. Donors, everybody.
Yeah.
It's just it's a new era. So, but I think there's still a place for just good old school student athletes that want to be at a Baylor and just want to do it the right way and compete and represent the university well. And we have a whole team full of those. So it's really fun.
Very cool. As a native Canadian, I think most people know that about you. You mentioned SMU being an old Southwest Conference rival. Do you have a sense of that? I mean, that goes way back now to the Southwest Conference days.
Oh, yeah. Well, I like to study history, and so, when I got to Baylor, I wanted to know, just the history of the university and the Big 12, and then, of course, the Southwest Conference. So, yeah, you just get a feel for, hey, this is a big match for the community. So if it's a big match for the community, it's a big match for us.
Yeah, great. Very good. At Texas coming up on Saturday to close the regular season. What are you looking forward to for that one?
Yeah, well, speaking of rivalries, it's about as big as they get. So, yeah, that's a big match for us. They're a great team. They've won the national championship 2 years in a row, so they're at the height of their powers. But that's how you get challenged. That's how you end up playing your best tennis. You got to have those type of matches. So we're excited to play them. We played them earlier in the year. We played them in late January. And we learned a lot about ourselves at that stage, and now it's going to be fun to see where we are now. So
very good. Who are these young ladies coming in?
Yeah. So we have speaking of Paulie, our super senior.
Welcome. Glad you're here.
Yeah, Paula Barignano, and then we have Lauren Littell, freshman, and then Brooke Thompson, sophomore, and Danny Tootin, fellow Canadian, freshman. So,
fellow Canadian, that's great.
Yeah, and Lauren's from Arizona, and Brookie is from Oklahoma. Like I said, Danny's from Vancouver, Canada, and then Paulie's from Argentina.
Very cool. Glad you are here. We appreciate it. If you have any questions for Coach, you can put him on the spot here, all right? So we'll get a card to you for that. All right, we're off and running on the Baylor Coaches Show with Coach Joey Scrivano, Baylor women's tennis coach. Let's take a break. We'll be back with more right after this. Welcome back on the Baylor Coaches Show. Tonight live from Rudy's Real Texas Barbecue. Join me in saying thanks to our hosts here at Rudy's. We appreciate y'all very, very much. Great spot here at Rudy's. They've got this great set here. If you're watching on television, you know what I'm talking about. Come by and you'll love the offering and the menu here at Rudy's Real Texas Barbecue. Continuing with Coach Joey Scrivano, Baylor women's tennis coach. We've got some questions from the audience for you, okay? Yeah. You ready for this?
Let's do it.
It is our First Place Foods Ask the Coach. First Place Foods, that's a darn good pickle. First one is from John Jackson right out there. John says, very good question. How do you balance recruiting between transfers versus freshmen? Is it easy/hard to recruit to Baylor? Really two questions.
Yeah, well, that's a great question. John's not making it easy on me here.
Way to go, John.
Well, ultimately we kind of, we have a profile of an athlete that we want to have on our team. And, if they're freshmen, great, because that means they have a lot more eligibility. Mm-hmm. The challenging part with freshmen is, the learning curve's a little steeper. And then if they're transfers, what's nice about that is they usually have some experience under their belt. But then the downside is they don't have as much eligibility left. So ultimately, it's just if you fit the profile, that we're looking for, which is, really high character, academic minded and very serious about tennis and team-oriented people. So if they fit that criteria, and they obviously got to be able to play tennis pretty darn well too.
Right.
If they fit that criteria, then we don't put as much focus on what year they are in school, whether they're freshmen or transfers. And then the second part of the question, is it easy or hard to recruit to Baylor? It just depends. If the student athlete or prospect, knows about Baylor, then it's easier because they obviously would know a lot about the university and what a great university it is and how strong the athletic department is, and they'll know some of the academic programs. So that definitely makes it easier. When it's a student athlete prospect that just doesn't know much about Baylor, then it's just harder because you really have to educate them.
Yeah, sure.
And in order to educate them, you have to build this relationship with them, and they have to trust what you're telling them is the truth. So it's just a longer process, but ultimately, it's recruiting is about relationships, and that comes first, and everything else is kind of secondary, and it usually works itself out.
That's a great approach. John, really good question. Thank you very much. Coach, thanks for the answer. Here's a question from Scott Van Kelly. Scott is right there. And Scott says, which person has influenced your coaching philosophy the most?
Wow.
Really good question.
Gosh,
we're getting deep here now.
Yeah, we're
tonight,
getting deep.
Right?
Yeah. We're going to probably need another hour to answer this one. I think ultimately, I just really looked up to my mom growing up. My mom was just a single mom, really hardworking, supported my sister and I really to the nth degree. So I just think I looked up to her as just in regards to just life philosophy. You just put your head down and you just work and you just provide for your kids, and really selfless woman. So I think she's the biggest influence on my philosophy in life, just being selfless and giving everything you have. But in regards to coaching, I'm constantly, studying great coaches, great leaders, because you can just learn so much from so many different people. And with technology the way it is with YouTube, basically I'm on YouTube all the time. I get made fun of that by my wife and the players. They see me just constantly researching stuff, and so there's just so many great coaches out there. At the moment I'm really into meditation, so the players know this pretty well.
Wow.
So
this is interesting.
Yeah, so that's the coaches that have been more focused on that side of it, the more the spiritual side of coaching I'm really into. So that's how it started, and that's where I am right now. So
Zen.
It's all good.
Very good. Zen.
Yeah, the Zen stuff.
Who did we have here? I think it was Felicia Mulkey who said she's really into just zen, you know?
Take a breath.
There's a lot to that.
Oh, no doubt,
There
for
really
sure.
is.
Well, when you've been coaching for over 25 years, you better know how to take a breath once in a while.
I bet that's right. Very good. All right, great question, Scott. Thank you for that. Here's a question from Roy right here, front and center. Roy says, what is the most number of countries you have had represented on your team?
Gosh. I don't even know. I should know this number off the top of my head. I think we have 5 countries represented right now. The girls can help me here. See, there you go.
7?
7.
Is that
okay,
right?
so we have 7. 5 right now? Yeah.
No, it is 5.
So we have 5 right now, and
Who said 7?
Yeah, I think 5 that's a pretty big number. You know, I would say that's probably the average. But you know, the majority of our kids are domestic kids, so they're American kids. So that's the makeup. You know, we have 10 on the roster right now. So, but it's great. I mean, it's fun when you have that diversity on your team, and the kids learn a lot from each other, which makes it really neat.
Love it. That's great. All right, continuing, one more question. Our First Place Foods Ask the Coach. First Place Foods, that's a darn good pickle. This comes from this table right here, so I'll tell you that. No name on it, but this person says, what is your favorite pair of shoes?
Yeah,
there must be a story.
That's a loaded question right there.
Loaded question.
So for my birthday, which was after, I think, what match was that, Bears? Anyway, gosh, I had my birthday's February 18th,
okay.
So it fell on a match day.
Okay.
We unfortunately lost that match, and after I was pretty descriptive of how we could have performed better, the girls go, "Hey, coach, here, happy birthday!"
Oh my gosh!
And they got me a pair of Air Jordans. Super cool,
Whoa,
like Baylor style
great.
Air Jordans,
Yeah.
and that made me feel terrible. But it was really neat. That was cool. I remembered a story in high school where my first day in the 9th grade, I wore these really big orange Converse, whatever the ones that Larry Bird and Magic Johnson were wearing at the time. And they never obviously remembered the story. So they were trying to find those shoes. They couldn't. Thankfully, they got me the Air Jordans, but that's really cool. Yeah,
that's
nice
a great story. That's very nice, very nice. So he chews you out. You know, you lost a match, and you say, "We got a birthday present for you here, Coach. We love you. We appreciate you."
Oh, they got me. It was really good. It was really good.
That's pretty good. Great questions there. Thanks to everyone. All right, let's take a break. Back with more with Coach Joey Scrivano coming up, Baylor women's tennis coach. We're live at Rudy's on the Baylor Coaches Show, and we'll return right after this. And returning to Rudy's on our Baylor Coaches Show tonight, Coach Joey Scrivano, our guest, Baylor women's tennis coach. Hey, I'm noticing, well, Shelby told me that you have won at least 10 wins at home for the second time in 3 seasons. That's big. I mean, This has become a real home court advantage for you.
Yeah, absolutely. I think our players just they love playing in the Hurd Tennis Center and the Hawkins Indoor Tennis Center and just being at home with your fans coming out and sleeping in your own bed, and it's just there's a lot of positives to just that routine, but that's a cool stat. Yeah, Shelby, great job just digging in and finding something there.
That is good. And, home court is always big, and we're always educating our fans. This is not Wimbledon. This is not, the polite hand clap. You want it to be a kind of a raucous atmosphere. Mm-hmm. Don't go over the line, be respectful of your opponents, but make some noise and come out and support the Bears.
Absolutely. Yeah, our fans are amazing because they are so respectful of our opponents, and I appreciate that. We've been to a lot of places where that's not the case. Yeah. Which definitely is, just makes it more challenging on the athletes. So there's positive in that as well, But yeah, I just love our fans because I want our opponents to be respected, and our fans do a great job of that while supporting our athletes really, really well. And this year we added some VIP seats a little closer to the courts. And that was really cool to try that in our indoor facility, and we saw I saw John and Nancy there enjoying matches from those seats, and so we're trying different things in tennis. I think tennis is becoming more open-minded towards even pro tennis. Just it's okay to clap, it's okay to get a little rowdy here and there. If anybody's ever been to a night match at the U.S. Open, that's a college match basically.
That's rowdy.
Yeah, it's rowdy
right,
there. Yeah,
right.
that's definitely a really different atmosphere. So that's what we want at Baylor too. We want just want to keep building our fan base and kind of educating the Waco community that just tennis is such a great sport, and these athletes are absolutely phenomenal. I'm biased, but these athletes have to be explosive. They have to have incredible endurance. They have to be skilled. They have to play in the confines of a team, and they kind of got to juggle a lot of things. So they're really fun to watch because they're so good at so many different things.
Yeah. It's individuals playing a team sport.
Exactly.
Which has its own, ramifications there.
Yes.
But and one other thing, the Hurd facility is great.
Yeah.
Hawkins indoor facility is great. But we need more seats. We need more room, don't we?
Yes.
Especially indoors.
Indoors, it would be nice. Yeah. We definitely would like to add more seats there, and but that's a good problem to have. Where we're getting to the point where our sport's that popular where we need more seats in the indoor. Yeah.
That's great. That's a nice problem to have.
Yeah,
really.
No doubt.
Okay, who is this waving at you back here?
That's Nico.
Nico, how are you?
And that's Luca beside
Luca's here somewhere.
Yeah.
I
there's
can
Courtney.
see him. There he is. And your wife Courtney is here. So great family event. Final thought along those lines, the Cub tennis program is going strong. I love that. I think that's great.
Yeah, and it's amazing. We started that program about 10 years ago.
Wow.
And we've seen it grow so much. During COVID, we took a little sabbatical, which wasn't the same actually playing the matches without the kids there.
Huh.
So it's really neat to have it back, and it's going stronger than ever. And my 2 little guys are in there. That's I don't know if they'd be playing tennis if we didn't have Cub tennis because they get their friends there, and it's a little better atmosphere than me just feeding them tennis balls and them getting distracted. So.
All right. Very good. I've got some grandkids that are about to the age where they're going to
let's get it going.
Yep, that'll be cool. Hey, thanks for being with us. Good luck in Austin on Saturday, and thanks for being with us tonight.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
All right, Joey Scrivano, Baylor women's tennis coach, our guest. Take a break, come back, and wrap things up live from Rudy's. And back with just enough time to wrap things up on tonight's Baylor Coaches Show live from Rudy's. Thanks again to our host here at Rudy's. Mentioned a couple of home events coming up. Baylor Baseball opening a Big 12 series at home against Texas Friday, Saturday, and Sunday at Baylor Ballpark. Softball won today. They're on the road at Texas Tech this weekend as well. Thanks to Jay Goebel and Joey Scrivano, our guests tonight. And that's our time. We say to you, good night from Rudy's.
This has been an exclusive presentation from Learfield.